the Star of David, and its history. Where does the Star of David come from? This six-pointed star does not exist exclusively in the Jewish community, but in fact has been a revered symbol throughout the world, going back thousands of years. All five of the big religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, and even some sects in Christianity, have commonly utilized this symbol as a part of their worship. Numerous cultures decorated their important places with this star, including the Romans, Greeks, Armenians, Mesopotamians, Ethiopians, Egyptians, Japanese, and others. The hexagram has drawn the attention of countless peoples with its symmetry, mathematical beauty, and connections to various beings that inspired worship. In the ancient religion of Hinduism, the star is known as the Shatkona. It symbolizes the union of male and female, as the upward-facing triangle represents Purusha, the supreme being, and the lower triangle represents Mother Nature. Their connection gives birth to Sanat Kumara, the lord of this planet, whose special number is 6. The Shatkona is used in Hindu tantric magic to achieve transcendent powers and harmony with the highest principle. Cosmological diagrams both in Hinduism and Buddhism contain six-pointed stars, from which likely came the inspiration for this revered symbol. It later transferred to Tibetan Buddhism, where it was named the origin of phenomenon. Buddhists meditate with the help of the symbol to achieve a sense of peace and harmony. It also became the emblem of the female deity Vajrayogini, who represents the complete state of Buddhahood in female form. She is worshipped in Tantric Buddhism as a central deity and the fountain of blessings, being the focus of many esoteric meditations and rituals. In mystical Islam and Judaism, the star is known as the Seal of Solomon. It is the symbol on the legendary signet ring attributed to the wisest biblical king, Solomon, who, mystics believe, was able to perform miraculous deeds through the power of the ring. Solomon's seal or signet was mentioned first by 1st century Jewish historian Josephus, then later in the 3rd century Jewish magical text Sefer Harazim, and in a section of the Babylonian Talmud. It was first described as two interlocking triangles forming a hexagram. However, a 1st or 2nd century Greek manual called the Testament of Solomon, which was completed only in the High Middle Ages, describes the seal as a pentagram. It would again be reconfigured into a double triangle hexagram, which began to appear widely in Christian, Muslim, and Jewish occultist literature. Both shapes have been called the Seal of Solomon, as is evidenced with Morocco's flag, which used the hexagram before adopting the pentagram, when it was learned that Israel would use the six-pointed star. The legend says that Solomon received a ring from the archangel Michael, and on it was engraved the most great name of God. With the brass part of the ring, Solomon commanded good genii, and with the iron part, he commanded the evil genii, or devils. Solomon enslaved the demon king Asmodeus and forced him to help construct the temple. In the Manual Testament of Solomon, Solomon himself recalls, "And it came about through my prayer that grace was given to me from Lord Sabaoth by Michael, his archangel. He brought me a little ring, having a seal consisting of an engraved stone, and said to me, Take, O Solomon, king, son of David, the gift which Lord God has sent thee, the highest Sabaoth. With it thou shalt lock up all demons of the earth, male and female, and with their help thou shalt build up Jerusalem. But thou must wear this seal of God. And this engraving of the seal of the ring sent thee is a pentulfa." In Islamic nations, it has been used as a decorative motif on masks, palaces, coinage, and uniforms for battle. Found particularly often in Palestine, the star embellished doors, tombs and tops of windows during the reign of the Ottoman Empire. Other Muslim empires used the star on their flags, including the Hayreddin Barbarossa and Anatolian Beyliks, the latter which, with the Karamanid dynasty, had a blue and white flag, almost identical to the one used by Israel today. The Seal of Solomon had become a potent symbol of power, Thanks to Islamic mystical traditions, it was used as a protective amulet against evil spirits, and as a popular talisman, believed to grant the wearer special abilities, such as those bestowed upon Solomon in Jewish legend. The esoteric Western society, Freemasonry, takes part in rituals and secret traditions that also use the Seal of Solomon, both in the hexagram and pentagram form. Many of their lodges are also decorated with the stars. In Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, Albert Mackey writes that the two triangles, one white and the other black, interlacing, typify the mingling of apparent opposites in nature: darkness and light, error and truth, ignorance and wisdom, evil and good, throughout human life. Additionally, the Seal of Solomon represents Freemasons' ties to Knights Templar, medieval stonemasons, and the Old Testament. Freemasons refer to King Solomon as Grand Master in their rituals, and he is considered a role model for their own endeavors. The architecture of his temple as symbol of the path of development Freemasons travel. It is interesting that while people of all religions have been made welcomed members, a belief in a supreme being is essential in this society. Their prayers begin with something like, "O God, divine architect of the universe, we bow with gratitude to thy omnipotence." The star also pervades some Christian circles. Numerous medieval cathedrals are decorated throughout their vast spaces with the hexagram, perhaps due to the influence of Freemasons, who had often provided generous assistance in constructing such grand sources of inspiration. Temples of Latter-day Saints also utilize the star in prominent locations. The prophet and founder of the Mormon religion, Joseph Smith, involved himself in Freemasonry and transferred many of the rituals to the Mormon Church. Mormons also believe that many of their members are descendants of the lost Israeli tribe Ephraim. And in the modern day, when the hexagram is most commonly associated with Israel, Mormons feel that displaying the star shows solidarity with the Jewish people. Other denominations, including Pentecostal, Episcopal, and perhaps others, also display the star inside their churches to demonstrate support for and connection with Judaism. In alchemy, the Seal of Solomon symbolizes the philosopher's stone, the mythic substance capable of turning base metals into precious ones, and creating an elixir of life that could rejuvenate the body and provide immortality. For many centuries, its discovery was the most sought-after goal in alchemy, and the effort was called magnum opus, or great work, as the Seal of Solomon was associated with the power to control spirits and nature. It mirrored the alchemical pursuit of striving for perfection and supernatural illumination through the philosopher's stone. In tandem with alchemy, witchcraft is fascinated by the Seal of Solomon. In the book The History and Practice of Magic, Volume 2, the Seal of Solomon is called the Talisman of Saturn. On the first face is engraved a pentagram, or a star with 5 points. On the other side is engraved a bull's head, enclosed in a 6-pointed star, and surrounded by letters composing the name. Rempha, the planetary genius of Saturn, according to the alphabet of the Magi, used in daily life by people, or installed in architecture. A talisman purportedly contains magical powers that could protect, heal, and impart extraordinary strength. The talisman of Saturn in particular is said to channel the energy of the planet Saturn, to help with discipline, perseverance, strength, and many other aspects of life of major importance. However, it is also used to conjure spirits that may harm others. In Druidism, which has been traditionally practiced in Celtic cultures, the hexagram was used during the high Sabbath of witches and occultists, which is known as Halloween today. Some Christians believe that the hexagram has been referenced in the Bible, both in the Old and New Testament, as the Star of Remphan, who was worshipped by the Israelites in the wilderness. The Israelites tended to stray from God often, and adopt the gods of nearby pagan cultures, including those of the Assyrians, Syrians, Babylonians and Egyptians, who worshipped Saturn, among other planetary gods. Acts 7:40-43 in the Bible says, "But God turned away and gave them over to the worship of the heavenly bodies. This agrees with what is written in the Book of Prophets. Did you bring me sacrifices and offerings 40 years in the wilderness, people of Israel? You have taken up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Rephan, the idols you made to worship. Therefore, I will send you into exile beyond Babylon. Moloch was a Canaanite deity associated with child sacrifice, and Rephan is the Babylonian name for the god of the planet Saturn. The fact that a talisman of Saturn features the hexagram, and that the planet Saturn has a hexagon on its north pole, has led some to believe that the hexagram is indeed the Star of Rephan. Nowadays, the hexagram is mostly recognized as the nation of Israel's symbol, and is referred to as the Star of David. However, neither the name, nor any such symbology, has ever appeared in the Bible. In the Babylonian Talmud, the Shield of David, or Magen David, is an epithet for God, signifying God as the protector of David and his descendant Messiah. It was the Kabbalists who popularized the use of the symbol as a protection against evil spirits and associated it with magical formulas. Kabbalah is a Jewish tradition and center part of Jewish mysticism emerging in 12th and 13th century Spain and southern France, claiming to provide direct access to God. It is based on the idea that God communicated secret knowledge of the Torah to Moses and Adam, and is primarily an oral tradition, with personal guides initiating people into its practices and doctrines. Some rabbinical tales say that Bar Kokhba's revolt against the Roman Emperor Hadrian in 132 Common Era used the Star of David. The Roman government had begun to restrict Jewish religious practice and planned on building a Roman colony atop of Jerusalem, sparking the third and final war between the Jewish people and the Roman Empire. The venerated Rabbi Akiv, who was the spiritual leader of the revolt, called Simon Bar Kokhba the Jewish Messiah, and gave him the name Son of the Star, in reference to the star prophecy in Numbers 24:17. A star rises from Jacob. Bar Kokhba was widely believed to be the promised Messiah, who would redeem Israel, being referred to as the Prince of Israel, who would restore the Jewish kingship. While hugely successful at first, enabling the Jews to even start minting their own unique money, they were eventually defeated catastrophically. Judea's population became mostly non-Jewish, and Hadrian changed the name of Judea to Palestina. Popular paintings of Bar Kokhba's rebellion have the Star of David on the soldiers' shields. Several such works of art were created by the famous Polish Jewish artist Arthur Szyk, who was especially supportive of the creation of the State of Israel. It was not until 1354 that a particular Jewish community began officially identifying itself with the star. In 1354, the Czech king, Charles IV, authorized the Jewish populace of Prague to use the Star of David on a red flag. However, widespread use throughout Europe did not begin until the 19th century. The star went on to enter the sphere of the Rothschild family, which is of Jewish descent. Born in 1744 in Germany, Meyer Amschel Rothschild would eventually come to be known as the founding father of international finance, and would establish the Rothschild banking dynasty with his 5 sons. He changed his surname from Bauer, or farmer in German, to Rothschild in order to reflect the red shield placed above the entrance to his counting house. The Rothschild family coat of arms, that was awarded in 1822 by Emperor Francis I of Austria, contains a prominent 6-pointed star on the top left. The Rothschilds would be instrumental in raising up the Zionist movement that would create Israel. They would buy up many acres of land in Palestine and fund the development of multiple settlements, and in 1917 would receive a letter from British Foreign Secretary Sir Balfour expressing the British government's support for the creation of the State of Israel in Palestine, perhaps due to the major influence of the Rothschilds. The central symbol chosen to embellish the Israeli flag at the First Zionist Congress in 1897 was the hexagram, despite some opposition. The menorah was a more widely respected Jewish symbol. and many argued it was a better motif for the Israeli flag. It is curious that, though commonly called the Shield, or Star of David, in religious communities supporting the State of Israel, it was explained at the Zionist Congress that the symbol was chosen due to two reasons: its usage in some Jewish communities, and its lack of specifically religious connotations.